Hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire geek, and I'm doing well, I say quick, I don't know, I've got, how many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories to get through today, some geeky news, so let's just hit the intro.
You just throw up the title and get on with it.
Spladosh. Right. Oh, God, I'm all itchy all of a sudden, I don't know why. Hey, right, where have I put my thingy, my bobs? There we go, window capture. Sorry, behind the scenes telling you there. Right, remember this from, I don't know, about a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, whatever. The original Han Solo blaster went up for auction. The one that he used in the original 1977, Star Wars, never mind A New Hope, it was Star Wars. That went up for auction. So how much did it go for? Well, I will tell you. We will read it from this article. How much did the original Han Solo blaster in Star Wars sell for? Harrison Ford used the weapon in Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. Star Wars. And it was the only one remaining of the three props used in the classic film. There it is. But that's from Return of the Jedi, isn't it? So they used the wrong picture there. Harrison Ford has his place in film history thanks to many roles, but without a doubt there is one for which he will always be recognised, that of Han Solo in the Star Wars saga. The actor played one of the most prominent characters, a smuggler who ends up being a key part of the Rebel Alliance against the Empire. One of his most trusted tools when fighting his battles was his blaster, a prop that has been sold at auction for more than $1 million. Han Solo's $1 million blaster. Remember, I think the estimate was from like $300,000 to $500,000, and I said it'll go for more than that, and it has. As published by the US portal TMZ, the Rock Island Auction Company organised an event for firearms lovers and collectors last weekend. By the way, there's a link there. As usual, all the links are in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share the videos and drop a comment and all that stuff. Use the notification bell. It would be greatly appreciated. I know we say that every time and nobody pays any attention. But we've got to... Where were we? The company has organised similar auctions in the past with other cinematographic jewels, such as the weapon that John Wayne used in the 1969 classic True Grit, and some pistols of Alexander Hamilton, one of the founding fathers of the United States. I think that's from Star Wars. I think it might be. I could be wrong. Promotional shot from the original Star Wars. I think, but I could be wrong. The so-called... it might not be actually, I don't know. But anyway, whatever. The so-called DL-44 heavy blaster pistol fetched a staggering $1,057,500 at auction, an amount very far from the estimates that the experts had placed the sale at, between $300,000 and $500,000. And this weapon is the exact one that Ford used in the movie Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. Star Wars. With it being the only one of the three props created for the set to have survived. The exclusive item was originally a Mauser from the German manufacturer, and it was George Lucas's team that turned it into a blanks-only weapon. The Star Wars, I'd have thought that they just made it so it didn't fire at all, you'd have thought, wouldn't you? But never mind. The Star Wars universe has been one of the most successful sagas in the history of cinema and is still more alive than ever, with new releases and a lot of fabric still to be cut. In fact, the series about Obi-Wan Kenobi was recently released, and it was rubbish. Recently, it was ages ago. And in September, Star Wars Andor will be out. For next year, fans will have even more material for a most profitable story. So there you go. So that's that. So it went for over $1 million, which I suspected it might do, and it did. Right, more Star Wars. By the way, all the stories today, they're either Star Wars, Star Trek, or Stargate. So, there you go. Star Wars only happened because of a notorious sci-fi flop. I don't really understand this article, but I had a quick scan of it. I haven't read it properly, but most people that are into Star Wars anyway know that George Lucas originally wanted to do Flash Gordon, but he couldn't get the rights. King Features or somebody that owns the rights, whatever. But he couldn't get the rights, so he did his own thing. Anyway, there is no grander, greater name in all of science fiction than Star Wars. With great respect to the Star Trek franchise and a slightly smaller amount to Stargate, Star Wars is one of the most successful multimedia franchises of all time. As of 2020, the franchise had raked in over $70 billion in combined revenue and is likely significantly higher since the recent explosion of popular Disney Plus shows. I don't think so. You don't see much Star Wars merchandise on shelves these days. You've got to admit you don't. Not like you used to. Not like you used to. Anyway, but none of that would not have been possible. But none of that would have been possible, whatever, if not for a particular bad, mishandled science fiction franchise. We are, of course, talking about Flash Gordon. While the origins of the other big George Lucas franchise, Indiana Jones, as a homage to early adventure serial films is widely known, Star Wars was also directly inspired by a serial series, itself based on a comic strip. The only reason... I've lost my place now. The only reason why Star Wars got made, George Lucas could not get the rights to Flash Gordon. There's a big blank, but an advert. And there's Buster Crabbe as Flash Gordon. I used to love those when I was a kid. A bit hard to watch these days because we're spoiled, aren't we? But they're great, aren't they? In 1971, a young filmmaker named George Lucas had just completed his first film, an artsy science fiction movie titled THX 1138. It had been developed from a short he had made while a student at the University of Southern California, itself titled the more grandiose Electronic Labyrinth THX 1138 4EB. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, does it? And has ceased to make a dent in the box office or with critics. Like I said, I think it says in one of the documentaries that it was supposed to be. Well, it's supposed to be a 15-minute film, and it ended up being an hour or something. Or it's supposed to be a 5-minute film, and it ended up being 20 minutes. And they said, "Oh, that's how great George Lucas is." No, it just means that he can't edit a film down to what is required, to pass the exam or whatever it is. But that's just me. Right, anyway, where were we? THX 1138. It failed to make a dent in the box office or with critics. You know why? Because it's crap. I've seen it. It's rubbish. In response, he began working on the treatment for a film inspired by his own early life in Southern California that would later become the unexpected blockbuster film American Graffiti, which is pretty good, I must admit, featuring a fresh-faced Harrison Ford in an early role. At the same time, he hit upon a simple idea. Why not make a feature film adaptation of his childhood favourite, Flash Gordon? And there's Harrison Ford in American Graffiti. The problem was getting the rights to make Flash Gordon. In what sounds like an interesting road trip, George Lucas and his mentor, Francis Ford Coppola, or is it Coppola? Whatever, took a detour from getting financing for American Graffiti and visited King Features Syndicate, which owned the rights for Flash Gordon. However, they were told that the syndicate was looking for more of a Federico Fellini, the acclaimed Italian fantasy director type, and furthermore, they wanted a staggering 80% of the grosses. This made George Lucas's Flash Gordon a dead project and threw him into a deep depression. The solution? Star Wars. According to George Lucas himself, Star Wars was basically his solution to not being able to license the rights for the project he actually wanted to do. But Star Wars is nothing like Flash Gordon, really. I mean, it has little bits about it, but look at the story. It's not really anything like Flash Gordon. In my opinion, he managed to speak to Flash Gordon creator Alex Raymond and realised that the cartoonist had himself formed most of his famous work from inspirations like the John Carter of Mars books and Jules Verne. Basically, Star Wars is what happened when Lucas discovered that he did not actually have to adapt a specific work, but could synthesise all the things that had inspired that work to begin with. $70 billion later, Star Wars seems to have worked out pretty well for that. Well, I say it took elements of Dune, didn't he? Frank Herbert's Dune. And loads of other stuff. Obviously, war films, World War II, dogfights and all that. And, swashbucklers with all the swinging on ropes and stuff. And Robin Hood and all that. Which is what you do. You homage, don't you? And you recreate what you like. That's what you do. And there's Sam Jones and Topol and Brian Blessed in Flash Gordon, the 1980 film, which is amazing, but I think this article gives it a bit of a hard time, but we'll see. Ironically, a Flash Gordon movie did end up being licensed by famed Italian film producer Dino De Laurentiis. It was released in December of 1980, months after The Empire Strikes Back took Star Wars to a new critical and popular level, and flopped hard. Not in my book, it didn't. In large part, that has to do with De Laurentiis himself. Though the movie was directed by Mike Hodges and written by Lorenzo Semple Jr., the fingerprints of De Laurentiis are all over it. While the original comic strip and the serials based on it were adventure tales, it seems the producer became fixated on the comic aspect of comic strip. Well, just look at the opening titles of Flash Gordon. It's from the comic strip. And insisted Flash Gordon have a comedic tone that did not land with audiences or critics. Did with me. I've loved it since 1980s, and as I saw it as a 13-year-old kid, loved it. Well, I know the effects are up to Star Wars standards, but it's still a great film. While it has since built a cult following, it is fair to say the impact of the 1980 Flash Gordon was a fraction of that of Star Wars. Yeah, well, it was. Is that it? Oh no, it isn't. It is one of the great what-if scenarios of pop culture to wonder what would have resulted if George Lucas had managed to get the rights to Flash Gordon. Would it have become the pop culture behemoth of Star Wars? Would Lucas have had the ability or forethought to retain the merchandise rights that made him a billionaire? Who can say? But in many ways, Star Wars owes its existence to a comic strip syndicate that stuck to its guns when it came to film rights and only ended up with a Dino De Laurentiis flop for it. That's a bit harsh, because it's a beloved film, is Flash Gordon, the 1981. It is, because it's colourful, as you can see from that photo. It's colourful and it's fun. And that's all you need, isn't it? The effects are a bit ropey, but, so what? It's a lot of fun and it's great. And so Star Wars, but in a different way. So, why pick on one film over the other? I wouldn't have called it a flop. I don't think it was a flop. But maybe, financially it was. But not in my book. Right, we're moving on to Star Trek now. A few Star Trek articles here. We'll start off with the big news that's come out recently. Star Trek 4 director jumps ship to another billion-dollar franchise. Following several different iterations of Star Trek 4, the film has hit another major snag. Matt Shakman, who was set to direct the project for Paramount, has dropped out due to scheduling conflicts as he prioritises, I can't talk today, Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four. Known for his work on the Emmy-nominated WandaVision, the former child actor wasn't always the first choice for the superhero offering. Spider-Man No Way Home's John Watts left the project in April, saying he needed a break from super people. But for Shakman, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is still new territory, as he spent most of his career working on episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Succession, Game of Thrones, Fargo, Mad Men, Ugly Betty, and Everybody Hates Chris. After the success of WandaVision made him one of the most in-demand directors in Hollywood, he quickly signed on to helm the Star Trek movie in July 2021. The most recent version of the script comes from Josh Friedman and Cameron Squires. They are working from a draft from Lindsay Beer and Geneva Robertson Dworet, according to the Hollywood Reporter. Star Trek 4 was a top priority at the Melrose Avenue-based studio with a release date of December 22nd, 2023. It's a bit close, isn't it? And following, they haven't even started on it, have they? And following Shakman's departure, Paramount issued a statement thanking him for his contributions and reiterating their commitment to the space adventure project. Matt is an incredibly talented filmmaker, and we regret the timing didn't align for him to direct our upcoming Star Trek film. Paramount said, "We are excited about the creative vision of this next chapter and look forward to bringing it to audiences all around the world." Paramount's Star Trek 4 has been in development since 2015, as the studio hopes to reunite Chris Pine and the crew of the rebooted Enterprise that was first introduced in 2009 Star Trek. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Zachary Quinto, Simon Pegg, Carl Urban, Zoe Saldana and John Cho are among the stars, with the crew most recently appearing in 2016 Star Trek Beyond. Quentin Tarantino and Noah Hawley were previously among the filmmakers who had other takes on the project before the studio opted to go forward with a fourth instalment to the Pine series of films. A search for a new director will begin immediately. It remains unclear if the release date will change. While Marvel has dominated the big screen, Star Trek has primarily lived on television with several streaming shows on Paramount+. Most of them are crap. However, executives at Paramount's Investor Day said the company was forced on creating franchises that lived on in the streaming platform and the big screen. While Star Trek 4 struggles to find its feet, Kevin Feige told San Diego Comic-Con that a new movie featuring Marvel's first family is coming to theatres on November 8th, 2024. It's the first of 3 films planned for Phase 6, with 2 new Avengers movies set to follow. Over the years, the Fantastic Four has received various adaptations, including Tim Story's 2005 movie, which starred Ian Griffith, Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, Michael Chiklis and Julian McMahon. It was followed by a sequel, Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, in 2007. So I really like them 2 films. I must admit, the Tim Story Fantastic Four films, I really enjoyed it, and they get a lot of stick, but I thought they were all right. The title was rebooted in 2015, but the movie was slammed by fans and critics, because it was rubbish. With the former Star Trek 4 director on board to lead Kevin Feige's latest version, fans are in for an iconic adventure, and that's it. So there you go. So I wonder who they're going to get. I don't know. Will it ever happen? Will Star Trek 4 ever happen? I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest. I don't really care. Not the Kelvin verse. Don't give a monkeys. Right, Terry Farrell wants to return to Star Trek, says resurrecting Jadzia is no big effing deal. There she is. Remember, Jadzia Dax died at the end of season 6 of Deep Space Nine and was, if you don't know, her race, she was a Trill, which is a joined species. They're like a humanoid race, and inside they've got like a slug-like symbiote. Is it symbiote or symbiont? I don't know. Symbiote, which is intelligent, and they share memories, and they become like one person. It's a fusion. So then the Dax part is the symbiont, and Jadzia is the humanoid. So in season 7, up to season 6, she was Jadzia Dax. Previously, she'd been like Curzon Dax and several others. And then in season 7, she became Ezri Dax, played by Nicole de Boer. And it was good. It was good seeing a new character. She was Dax, but she wasn't. She was different. She had her own take on it. Right, anyway, whatever. Star Trek Deep Space Nine star Terry Farrell is ready to come out of retirement and ready to bring back Jadzia Dax if the opportunity arises. The fact that the character was killed off doesn't faze the actress, which delighted the crowd at the 56-year Mission Star Trek convention in Las Vegas. During a Deep Space Nine panel, a fan asked Terry Farrell if she was interested in returning to Star Trek and what she thought of resurrecting Jadzia Dax. The actress made it clear, they said actress, The actress made it clear she wants to do it and looks to precedent on how telling the delighted crowd. We'll get there. I was actually thinking about how Spock died. Didn't he melt, basically? I suppose so. He got a lot of radiation poisoning, didn't he? He saved everyone's life, and then he just came back. Well, it was renewed by the Genesis effect, wasn't it, on the Genesis planet, in the Mutara sector. And there he was. And Kirk kind of went, oh, there he is, sort of. And everyone nodded and said, yes, he's back. There's a bit more to it than that. And I want that moment for me. Exactly how you bring her back, it's no big effing deal. Later, a fan mentioned that he always wanted to see Jadzia doing some real hand-to-hand fighting and kicking butt, which we saw her do, because she was into Klingon martial arts and stuff, and she could handle a bat'leth, which is probably why she ended up marrying Worf, didn't she? Noting he felt her death scene in the season 6 finale was a sucker punch kind of death, Farrell quickly quipped back, and another reason for me to reappear. I suppose they could make her reappear because they've done it with when she was Dax. I think was it a season 2 or 3 episode? I can't remember. An episode called Facets, where we looked at her previous hosts. She had to go. She looked at the memories of a previous host, and one of them turned out to be a serial killer. So that were all dramatic and scary. So they could do something like that, but she wouldn't actually physically be there as Jadzia Dax. It'd be more like, the actress would be there appearing as Dax, but obviously whoever is now holding the Dax symbiont, I presume it's still Ezri, would be the actual host. Anyway, whatever. Oh, it could be, we've seen her in the Mirror Universe, haven't we, as Dax. So they could do that. But it's science fiction, anything could happen. There we go. Farrell had retired from acting in 2002 to focus on her family, but earlier in the con, she revealed now that her son was off to college. She was ready to return to acting, saying, "I got to do my new 8x10 actor headshot. I'm very excited. Like this my life now. I reconnected with my manager, and we'll see what happens." And she's still a very striking woman. Don't know how old she is, but she's still very striking. Star Trek is more than another job, but when it comes to Star Trek, Farrell explained it was much more than just another job for her. A fan asked if she would have believed how the early 21st century turned out back when she filmed the episode Past Tense. She said, "Oh my God, no," adding that she had been shocked at the state of the world, feeling the country is going backward, especially in how people treat each other. Past Tense was I think it was a 2-part where they went back in time to, was it 2019 or something like that, or just after that, I can't remember. The early 21st century, anyway, basically now, and it were all kicking off. There were riots and stuff, the Bell riots, and Commander Cisco, as it was at the time, was ended up becoming the Gabriel Bell of the Bell riots fame. Anyway, and here she pivoted to how she sees Star Trek as a force for good. We all need so much love and kindness right now, and we can only start with taking care of ourselves and nurturing ourselves as much as possible, and giving and paying it forward as much as we can. And to me, that's what's so great about Deep Space Nine and Star Trek. I just feel so lucky we are part of a show that is never going to go away. All the other jobs I've ever done, nothing compares to the message our show has to give, and it keeps doing that. I feel pretty good that we're all together here and celebrating hope for our future. And there she is with Kirk Lofton, who played Jake Sisko, Benjamin Sisko's son. Oh, pardon me, excuse me. I've got a drink over there. Just excuse me a moment. I'm just ducking away. Getting a bit dry. I left my drink over there. Hey. Drink a pop and I'll be burping again now. I don't need pop to burp, but I'll be burping even more. Right, where were we? Right, how Avery Brooks helped her early struggles on DS9. During a panel discussion on life-changing moments during the production of Deep Space Nine, Farrell got emotional talking about her early days on the series and how she had difficulty with her lines, and it took series star Avery Brooks and director David Livingston to help her get through it. Because remember, she was a science officer, wasn't she? So she probably had to remember a lot of techno babble, but we'll see what she says. At the beginning, even though it was very exciting, can you read that? Have I gone up too far? At the beginning, even though it was very exciting to get the part, the dialogue was really difficult for me, and they hired me an acting coach, and I really needed a dialect coach to work lines with me. There was one episode in particular, and David Livingston was directing it, and it was a scene with Avery Brooks. Pauses with emotion. So she had a little... and I couldn't get it, and I was so embarrassed, and Avery was such a champion, and he was so kind to me. And they took me to the trailer, the two of them, and he said, "It's just film, we don't care." And I feel bad because René Auberginoise is not here to say his part, but he made me feel really bad about not getting my lines right. Oh, right. It was creating this vortex with me because I was freezing, because I was so afraid that I wasn't going to get it right. It was just this catch-22 horrible thing. But really, David Livingston and Avery Brooks really helped me feel right again. It's okay, everybody goes through it. They were just so loving and supportive about it, and that was life-changing for me. Yeah, very good. That's it. There we go. Much more to come from our coverage of 56-year Mission Las Vegas. I didn't even know this were going on. So follow some more coverage there. The link's in the description. I didn't even know that were going on. I'll have to look on YouTube and see if there's any videos of the panels and stuff. Right, moving on. But yeah, anyway, so yes, so they could bring it back if they wanted to. Like I said, mirror universe, other ways, isn't there? Anyway, because I think people, I know Esri Dax, he's a popular character, and she had a good story arc in season 7 of Deep Space Nine. She went from kind of trying to reconnect with Worf and that failing, and ended up falling in love with Dr. Bashir, which were nice, and that's how that ended. So she had a nice story arc. So if they could bring Jadzia back somehow, I think fans would like that. But I wouldn't want to see Esri, totally shoved to one side. Because Nicole de Boer's a lovely actress. So there you go. Right, Star Trek Next Generation actor teasers Tasha Yar's return in Picard Season 3. Denise Crosby teases the return of her much-lamented Star Trek The Next Generation character Tasha Yar in Star Trek Picard Season 3. And there she is. This is Yesterday's Enterprise. The great episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. Right, Star Trek The Next Generation actress Denise Crosby teasers Tasha Yar's return in Star Trek Picard Season 3. Crosby was an original cast member of the Star Trek reboot series, TNG, when it debuted in 1987. But her character, Tasha Yar's stint on the Enterprise would prove short, and she was killed off of the show before the end of Season 1. Crosby famously attributed her desire to leave TNG to the show's writing, which failed to find interesting storylines for her character, but Crosby would continue to have an occasional home on TNG, as she would later return, several times reprising the role of Tasha Yar in the classic Season 3 episode Yesterday's Enterprise, and also playing Yar's half-Romulan daughter Sailor on 2 occasions. Crosby's last TNG appearance came in the show's series finale, All Good Things, in which Yar was encountered by a time-hopping Picard. Picard has, of course, himself returned to the Star Trek fold thanks to the Paramount Plus streaming series Star Trek Picard, which is bloody awful. Seasons 1 and 2, oh, they're terrible. Well, I quite enjoyed Season 1, although it did have a lot of problems. But that final episode of Season 1, I absolutely loathed. I hated it. But Season 2 was just terrible. It had the good first couple of episodes, but I've heard apparently the first couple of episodes of Picard Season 2 was a lot of Terry Matalas stuff, and he had a lot of say in that, and then not for the rest of the season. But I've heard Season 3 is a Terry Matalas thing, and is being given carte blanche to do what he wants, and that's why it's supposedly going to be good, but we'll see. Anyway, where were we? And Season 3 of Picard will go deeper into the TNG well by bringing back all the show's regulars, not all of them, including LeVar Burton's Geordie LaForge, Michael Dorn's Worf, and Gates McFadden's Beverly Crusher. Now it appears there's another bit of casting news to reveal, as Crosby let it drop during an appearance at the 56-year Mission Star Trek convention in Las Vegas that the much-lamented Tasha Yar will also appear in Picard Season 3 in some capacity. Crosby told the crowd, "I don't want to give away too much, but I'm going to tell you that you will see Tasha Yar, but I'm not going to tell you how. You've got to watch." They'll probably do a Worf in Season 1 of Picard, where you just see his picture on the screen, so they might do that with her. I don't know. She's going to appear. That vague tease indeed leaves a lot of room for speculation about exactly how the long-dead Tasha Yar manages to appear in Star Trek Picard Season 3. In the TNG episode Yesterday's Enterprise, a rift in space-time is responsible for an earlier version of the Enterprise arriving in the future, the Enterprise C. Pardon me. Bringing Tasha Yar with it. No, that's not what happened, is it? What happened is there was like a rift in space-time which changed the present, the 24th century. The Enterprise D changed that, and Tasha Yar reappeared because history had been changed because the Enterprise C wasn't destroyed at the Battle of Narendra 3. So Tasha Yar was still alive on the Enterprise D, and there was a big war going on with the Klingons. So that's what happened. I forgot where I was now. Such crossing over of timelines could be in the offing again in Picard Season 3, explaining Yar once again being resurrected. Indeed, the destroyed Enterprise D is already confirmed to be appearing in the new Picard season. Well, we saw it at the beginning, didn't we, of Picard, which were promising. Saw the Enterprise D in a dream sequence, which were nice. Indeed, I've seen that. So it seems that some timeline-related acrobatics are in the offing, an arguably tiring proposition after the time travel story that was tackled in Season 2. Another possibility for a Yar return is that she doesn't actually appear physically at all, but only in holographic form. As Star Trek fans remember, Yar left behind a holographic message after her TNG Season 1 death that was viewed by the crew at her memorial service. Star Trek Picard Season 3 is intended as a send-off for the TNG crew, and perhaps Yar will be included in that via a replay of this message somewhere during the season. And I think she's going to be in it, properly. However, Crosby's Tasha Yar is worked into the action in Star Trek Picard Season 3. It's certain that many TNG fans will still feel that the character was done a disservice by the way she was killed off in Season 1. It was her own fault. She wanted to go. Efforts to bring the character back in a meaningful way later were of course appreciated, but even Yar's memorable return in Yesterday's Enterprise wasn't enough to clear away the bad taste left by her absurd Season 1 demise at the hands of a sentient oil slick. But as I said, she wanted to go. She felt they weren't doing enough with her character, and she wanted to move on and do other things. And she didn't really. They just popped up in a couple of films and stuff, but she didn't do a lot, did she? Not really. I mean, I remember she was in Deep Impact, which is a good film. She was in that. And she was in a film called The Eliminators, which is awesome. It's a Charles Band film. And it's got like a mandroid in it and all this stuff. It's a great film. It's super corny. But if you can find it, watch it. It's great. She's in that. She plays a scientist. Anyway, while it's too late to right the wrongs done to Tasha Yar in Star Trek The Next Generation all those years ago, at least the character can still get a chance to say goodbye along with her former shipmates in Star Trek Picard Season 3, and hopefully that farewell will be at least a little gratifying. She's in a Black Sabbath video as well, but I can't remember what song it is. I remember seeing it on MTV or whatever years ago, but that might have been before The Next Generation. But she was in a Black Sabbath music video, but I can't remember the song. But anyway, that's by the by. What's happened here now? That's it. I thought my computer was crashing then. So that's that. Tasha Yar's coming back in Season 3 in some form. But we'll see. Right, Star Trek Legends Ashes to be blasted into deep space on board the Enterprise flight. And obviously we're talking about Nichelle Nichols. Nichelle Nichols, famous as the character of Lieutenant Nyota Uhura on Star Trek, will have a portion of her ashes blasted into deep space on board a Vulcan rocket later this year. Nichelle Nichols, the groundbreaking actress who played the iconic character of Lieutenant Nyota Uhura, just read all this, on the cult television series, sci-fi series Star Trek, is to have her. I've just read this. This unique tribute was announced on Thursday, August 25th by etonline.com. On a date as yet not specified, a Vulcan, think Dr. Spock, Mr. Spock. Dr. Spock was like a real person, one day who did like books on child rearing and stuff, wasn't it? Mr. Spock. I'm not sure Spock, Mr. Spock, has several PhDs, or the equivalent. But they didn't call him Dr. Spock unless you're an idiot that's not into Star Trek. A Vulcan rocket will blast off from Cape Canaveral in Florida on a mission into deep space. The Enterprise flight will transport a portion of Nichelle's cremated ashes on board. Celestis Inc. is the leading specialist in memorial spaceflights, and their spaceflight will also involve several other Star Trek legends, according to the company. These will include James Scotty Doohan, the Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry, and his wife Majel Barrett Roddenberry, in one form or another. Around 200 capsules containing messages of greetings from clients worldwide will accompany the television legends on their journey. These capsules will carry either DNA samples or ashes, I see what they mean, from each of the 200, along with similar from the Star Trek Quartet. A sample of Nichelle's son, Kyle Johnson's DNA, will travel with her. Travelling to interplanetary space well beyond the Earth and Moon, the Enterprise flight will reach between 150 million to 300 million kilometres into deep space, said the company's website, possibly going where no man has gone before. Well, no, it's definitely going where no man has gone before. My only regret is that I cannot share this eternal tribute standing beside my mother at the launch, her son commented. He added, I know that she would be profoundly honoured by this unique experience. Sorry about that. A big truck or something just drove by. You might not have heard it, but I did. This unique experience, and I enthusiastically encourage all of her fans to join us vicariously by contributing their thoughts, affections, and memories of Nichelle Nichols' inspired successors, dreams, and aspirations via email to be launched with her on this flight. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson described Nichelle Nichols as a trailblazing actress, advocate, and dear friend to NASA. After Apollo 11, Nichelle made it her mission to inspire women and people of colour to join this agency, change the face of STEM, and explore the cosmos. Nichelle's mission is NASA's mission today as we work to send the first woman and first person of colour to the moon under Artemis. NASA is guided by the legacy of Nichelle Nichols, Nelson added. The beloved actress passed away in July at the age of 89. Her death was confirmed at the time by her son Kyle, as well as on the official Star Trek Twitter account. Nichelle can now look forward to being able to live long and prosper in deep space. Not really. She can exist in deep space, but she's not living long and prospering, is she? But yeah, that's cool. Who wouldn't want that to be launched into space? But apparently it costs, I think for each capsule or whatever it is that's put inside the rocket is $12,500, which, it's not going to break the bank for some people, but it's a lot of money for me. I haven't got that. So it's not going to happen. Maybe they do, you can pay by installments, maybe. Right, last story. This is a Stargate one. The Stargate character that appeared in the most SG-1 episodes. I think she's appeared in more Stargate episodes than any other character, I do believe, but we'll see. Stargate SG-1 featured a closely knit team of adventurers travelling the galaxy and beyond. But the cast changed over time, and one lasted longer than the rest. And there she is, Amanda Tapping as, what was she? Started off as a captain, major, lieutenant colonel, full colonel, and she may be returning as general. Dr. Samantha Carter. Anyway, one Stargate SG-1 character appeared in more episodes than any other. Spinning out of Roland Emmerich's Stargate movie, the Stargate SG-1 TV series ran for 10 seasons. It had the perfect blend of character work, humour and drama, as an intrepid band of adventurers found themselves on the front lines of galactic conflict. Human beings had taken their first steps into the heavens and there was no going back. Everything followed the discovery of the Stargate, a device that could be used to open wormholes to other planets. Stargate Command sent SG teams through the gate on missions of exploration, and SG-1 was the main team. Its most prominent members included Jack O'Neill, Colonel Jack O'Neill, who later became General Jack O'Neill, Richard Dean Anderson, one of the first men to use the Stargate, Daniel Jackson, Dr. Daniel Jackson, Michael Shanks, the archaeologist who deciphered the writing on the Stargate, making it possible to use it, and Samantha Carter, as we said, Captain, Major, Colonel, pardon me, Dr. Samantha Carter, Amanda Tapping, an accomplished scientist with a brilliant mind, and she's also a good soldier. And Teal'c, Christopher Judge, a former servant of the alien Goa'uld who had betrayed them in humanity's favour, the former First Prime of Apophis. Viewers may be surprised to learn that Christopher Judge has the distinction of being the actor who appeared in the most episodes of Stargate SG-1. He appeared in 213 episodes. He easily beats Shanks and Anderson. Shanks left the show for a time with his character killed and later resurrected, while Anderson's role was reduced in later seasons because he wanted to spend more time with his daughter. Amanda Tapping is Judge's only real rival, appearing in 208 episodes of Stargate SG-1, but Judge had more stories set on alien worlds where he appeared without the others. The Stargate franchise expanded beyond Stargate SG-1, however, only ending when Stargate Universe was cancelled in 2010, 12 years ago. God. Amanda Tapping's Sam Carter travelled through the gate to Atlantis in Stargate Atlantis Season 4, becoming a major character there. Well, she became the leader of the Pegasus expedition. And even appeared in Stargate Universe. I think she was just in the first episode, I think. She was the commander of one of the Daedalus class ships. I can't remember which one it was now. Was it the Hammond? Was she on the Hammond? I can't remember. That means she appears in 228 episodes across the franchise's history, beating even Judge. Sam Carter is one of only 8 characters to appear in all 3 shows, and the only female character to do so. It's surely only a matter of time before Stargate is renewed. Remember hashtag We Want Stargate on Twitter. Hashtag Save the Gate at Amazon Studios. Amazon acquired the rights after their MGM acquisition and will certainly want to make the most of a franchise that ran from 1994 through to 2010, an impressive 16-year span. We've got 10 seasons of SG-1, 5 of Atlantis and 2 of Stargate Universe. Don't forget, there was that cartoon, Stargate Infinity, which ran for a season. But nobody talks about that. Classic Stargate actors could return in cameos, even in the event this turned out to be a reboot. Judge or Tapping could even be joined by Stargate Atlantis' Jason Momoa, whose career has certainly flourished since he first stepped through the gate. Hopefully, it won't be long before some new actors give Judge and Tapping a run for their money in a return Stargate SG-1. No, they won't. No, they won't, because TV series aren't made like they used to be. Because remember, back when Stargate was on telly, each season was something like 20 episodes at least. It was at least 20 episodes. Usually, but sometimes they went more, didn't they? Sometimes they had like 23, 24 episodes for a season. But these days they don't do that, do they? An episode is like max 13 episodes, isn't it, these days? So they're half the length of what they used to be. More often than not, they're 10 episodes. So it'll take a while for somebody to catch up to Christopher Judge and Amanda Tapping. So there we go. So that's it. So we'll leave it there. That's all I've got for today. Get rid of that. Right. So, wherever you are in the universe, look after each other. And until next time, I'll see thee.